due notice of this meeting, according to the bylaws of the University Senate, has been given, and that we have a quorum of members in attendance. The first item of business is the approval of Secretary's Report number 338 of October 2nd, 2014. All senators received a copy of this report as they entered the meeting. This proposed approval requires a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Thank you. Vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is a brief update from the Senate office. Tim?
Good afternoon and welcome everyone to this meeting of the University Senate. Today marks the second Senate meeting of this academic year. For those of you who today are attending your first Senate meeting, please note that we follow the parliamentary procedures as outlined in Robert's Rules of Order and are guided in doing so by our colleague and parliamentarian from the Moritz College of Law, Professor Steve Hafner, to my right. The University Senate consists of 137 members representing 5 constituencies, 70 elected faculty, 26 elected undergraduates from the undergraduate student government, 10 graduate students from the Council of Graduate Students, 5 professional students from the Interprofessional Council, and 26 administrators. Normally, the president of the university presides at our 7 meetings during the academic year, but since Dr. Drake is our speaker today, Provost Joe Steinmetz has graciously agreed to preside this afternoon. We invite everyone to consult the Senate website, senate.osu.edu, for the schedule of meetings, upcoming events, Senate and committee rosters, and in particular our proposal pathway that provides guidance to all members of the university community for submitting ideas for potential Senate consideration. Our next meeting, as noted on the Senate calendar, will take place in our regular meeting space in Drinko Hall on November 20th. Remarkably, that will be the last meeting of 2014. As a point of information, the University Senate recently approved by email ballot the awarding of 2 honorary Doctorate of Science degrees in meeting its responsibility to recommend to the Board of Trustees candidates for honorary degrees. Thank you to all senators who participated in that vote. The board will vote on the Senate's recommendation at its meeting next week. In this context, and on behalf of the Committee on Honorary Degrees, it is my honor to remind all in our academic community, whether you're in the Senate or not, to consider nominating deserving individuals for an honorary degree. For our guests, please note that today's agenda includes consideration of a proposal from the Council on Academic Affairs to establish a new master's degree in quantitative risk management, and the first university address by President Michael Drake. Following the President's address, Ken Lee, Chair of the University Senate Steering Committee and Professor of Food Science and Technology, will moderate the Q&A session. The President welcomes your questions, and following our established protocol that accords speaking priority to members first of the Senate, Dr. Lee will take first questions from senators and then from the general audience as time allows. Dr. Steinmetz, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Tim. Next on today's agenda is a proposed new master's program from the Council on Academic Affairs. I've been informed that Jim Rathman, Chair of CAA, is in class at this hour. Randy Smith, CAA Vice Chair, will present the proposal. Randy?
So this afternoon, the Council on Academic Affairs presents a proposal for a Master of Quantitative Risk Management degree program. The program is proposed in response to the need for both academic research and industrial practice, and is different than existing programs within the department of the university by providing students with opportunities in both fields. It includes a thesis, non-thesis option. Existing and new courses are included, and it includes topical requirements of the professional societies involved. The department will have the resources needed for the planned new degree. It's been reviewed by the Department of Mathematics and approved, the Division of Natural and Mathematical Sciences and approved, College of Arts and Sciences and approved, and then went through a rigorous review, as you saw, by the graduate school. The Council on Academic Affairs reviewed the materials on July the 16th and brings it forward for your consideration. If you have questions in detail, we have Chung Sheng Ban from the Department of Mathematics here, and Scott Ernest from the Graduate School to answer questions. I'm not a senator, Provost Steinmetz, so I need someone to move approval.
Do I hear a second? Is there any discussion on this proposal? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you very much, Randy.
This proposal will go now to the Board of Trustees and then on to the Board of Regents for final review.
The next agenda item is President Michael Drake's first annual address to the university. At the conclusion of his address, as Tim pointed out, President Drake will respond to questions for 15 minutes, and Senator Ken Lee, the chair of the Senate Steering Committee, will moderate the question and answer session and then conclude the meeting of this Senate. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome the Ohio State's 15th president to the podium, President Michael Drake.
Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate that. It's very good to be here and to see all of you this afternoon. It's wonderful to be a part of a university with such a great tradition and the power to make a meaningful difference to so many people. And it's great for us all to be a part of this together. It's an interesting day for me. Let me say that the last Thursday in October a year ago was Halloween. And on Halloween, we had trick-or-treaters by the house, about 300, which was our norm. We gave big candy in those days. And then after that, I went to the airport and took a red-eye to Newark, and then a flight here in the morning, and met with trustees as the first meeting that I would have in person to discuss the possibility of this transition in our lives together, to think about this position, and stayed here that weekend. So this is 364 days later. And I've been actually thinking about the Ohio State University every day in between. We've been here for 4 months now, and it's been a wonderful homecoming. Let me also thank very much my wife, Brenda, for her support in this. This is late in our lives to be making a big move, and she's been incredibly enthusiastic and supportive and has really loved our time here in Ohio. Ohio is really at the heart of America, both literally and figuratively. There's a spirit of America that rings true in each of the places we've visited in the state. In Worcester as a part of the Rhodes Scholars Trip, in London for the Farm Science Review. And as we move through Cleveland and Newark and Youngstown, where my mother was raised, we've seen a history of innovation that runs through Ohio. Our history bears this out, and so must our future. Two questions have come up over and over during the travels that Brenda and I have had across our state and around the campus this summer. First, how are you liking Ohio and Ohio State? And second, what is your vision for the university? Well, first, let me say that Ohio has been wonderful. We've had an extraordinarily warm welcome from Ohioans here on campus and wherever we happen to be in the state. At the very beginning, we were attracted by the people and the community. The vibrancy of Columbus was great. That was a great attraction that I began to notice last fall. But I would say that when we moved here, we were additionally thrilled by the beauty of the countryside, the fields and farms and streams of Ohio. And I've had a great chance to see what a beautiful place this is and what a wonderful place this is to call home. And let me say, as the 15th president of this great public university with 140 years of history, I believe that our brilliant past illuminates our future path forward. And what I see for us moving forward is that we will enhance our reputation as one of the world's leading research universities and be the exemplar of what it means to be a modern land-grant university. Today I will touch broadly on examples of academic excellence across the university that are critical to our journey forward, from research and medical impact to student success, and then talk more specifically about access and teaching as two founding principles of our land-grant mandate. Let me first begin with our founding purpose. For those who have been in higher education for many years, the inspiration behind the Morrill Land-Grant Act of 1862 speaks to our highest calling and why we are here today. When our university was founded in 1870 as the Ohio Agricultural and Mechanical College, our land-grant purpose was to bring a college degree within the reach of all people, including the sons and daughters of the farmers and working people here, the backbone of our society. And that central tenet of our land-grant mission has never been more relevant than it is today. The challenge for Ohio State and for higher education is to provide access to an outstanding, affordable education during a time of funding constraints and rising costs. Ohio State continues to be a great educational value, rated 26th nationally among public universities for the best value by Kiplinger in 2014. And we've implemented a number of strategies and programs to assist us in keeping it that way, such as Young Scholars, our LASER program for Latino students, and the Bell National Research Center on the African American male. But we know we must do more. For so many, a college education is a bridge to the middle class and beyond, as well as a bridge to a better quality of life. But as a nation, we are falling behind many other countries in educational achievement. Just last Sunday, the New York Times had an editorial that was titled "The American Dream is Leaving America," noting that the projected number of Americans with college degrees is plunging, while in places like Russia and South Korea, the number is on the rise. South Korea now leads the world in baccalaureate degree attainment, a position that during the time that I and most of us grew up was firmly rooted in the United States. Improving access to higher education has always been an important part of my motivation as a university leader, and it will continue to be. And I'm grateful that Governor Kasich demonstrated a deep commitment to higher education and just a few days ago has renewed his pledge to make affordable education a primary focus. I look forward to working with the governor and with our partners on both sides of the aisle in higher education to ensure the doorway to the American dream remains open. Let me say that facilitating our mission is very, very important, and as an institution of higher learning, we produce knowledge. That's our main product. And our knowledge is reflected, that production of knowledge is reflected in many ways. We produce knowledge in our laboratories, and we produce knowledge in our teaching mission by transmitting that knowledge to our students. The new knowledge that we produce through research is meant to be shared with the world. So we teach for Ohio, but as my friend Janet says, we do research for the world. My job as president is to support our faculty and our staff in their efforts to create the best possible learning environment and learning outcomes for our students, and the most impactful and meaningful research and creative activities for our broader world. Every day, nearly 100,000 faculty, staff, and students contribute to the creativity, the inspiration, and the vitality of our campuses. And it takes all of us in every unit and at every level working together to leverage the knowledge and energy of the university to do the most good for the most people. Each of us plays an important role. All of us are necessary, but none of us is sufficient alone. Let me give a quick example about our staff who are really the stewards of this university. Brenda and I have been delighted continually by the splendor and beauty of our campus, and I'd like to take a moment and offer a special thanks to our facilities, operations, and development for keeping our campus looking so magnificent in summer's heat and winter's cold. So a special thanks to Kenny King and Dave Albert, who are in our audience today, who represent 700 staff members in operations. And a round of applause, if I may. Now, while our university has grown exponentially, our commitment to community and the state has remained a central focus. On my very first day on the job, I joined Mayor Coleman and other city representatives and representatives from the federal government to announce a collective effort to revitalize the Near East Side community. A few weeks ago, I was joined by Cardinal Health CEO George Barrett, Lieutenant Governor Mary Taylor at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new medical imaging facility that is a collaboration between Ohio State, Cardinal Health, and the state of Ohio. We're fortunate to live in one of the nation's best cities and the heart of the country, and we will continue to build these mutually beneficial relationships with our community, with our government, and with our business partners. This truly is a land-grant university, and this is our great land-grant mission. Now, in 1870, at the very beginning, our land-grant mission really extended from Lane and High to the citizens around the state. In 2014, our community extends around the world. In September, Ohio State's newest global gateway opened in Sao Paulo, Brazil, joining similar offices in Shanghai and Mumbai. Through our discovery themes, we're focusing our tremendous talents on the most significant issues of our time. As a modern land-grant university, Ohio State has become a doorway to the world. As you know, our world is more competitive than it's ever been. We compete for the very best students, the very best faculty, and the very best jobs. When I talk to our philanthropic community, I focus on their role in helping us move in that space between A and A+. One of my mentors, Professor Holly Smith, Lloyd H. Smith, once said to me in a recruitment process with a hand on my shoulder that the difference between A and A+ is huge. And he would know he's truly an A+. And the difference between A and A+ is the difference between doing a good job and being your best self. And that's why at a modern land-grant university, we must do our very best to compete on a global scale. And to have meaningful impact in society, we must be our best selves. The support we receive from our friends and alumni, as well as our faculty and staff, is truly critical to our mission. In 2014, more than 230,000 donors gave $404 million to the university's But for Ohio campaign. This is a record number of giving. Never have so many been so generous with us. And in August, we surpassed the $2 billion mark in total giving for this campaign. This is a remarkable example and a testament to our friends and donors' faith and our ability to elevate society. The impact of the university is greater than it's ever been, and we see it in so many critical areas. I will share a few examples that speak directly to our land-grant mission again and in our community here and in our backyard and beyond. 3 generations of a Columbus area family have funded the Crane Center for Early Childhood Learning at the Wineland Park Center. This initiative supports our immediate community through childhood language and literacy development, but also our broader community through research discoveries. This summer, I was proud to ride along with 7,200 other riders in Pelotonia. Some of you I watched carefully during that great morning. It's the largest event of its kind in the nation, and raising money for cancer is as important an activity as we could engage in. This is a disease that touches families everywhere. And speaking of things that we do for the broader community right down the street from us here, we have modern masters on display, thanks to alumnus Lex Wexner and his family. The Wexners have given to us in many, many ways, but this in-kind donation of their family collection of masterpieces is something that is wonderful. And it's an exhibit that you might see if you traveled halfway around the world and went to the finest art museum you could find, and we're just honored and pleased to have it here just a few hundred yards where I am today, available for all of us, for members of our community, and I think very nicely for our students. Another form of generosity comes from our alumni who give generously of their time and leadership. Our Alumni Advisory Council is meeting right now on campus to offer feedback and support for major initiatives. I had the opportunity to meet with them earlier today and will engage with them again tomorrow. I appreciate their service to the university and value their leadership as we move forward. Ohio State has made steady and impressive gains in its academic reputation over the last decade. And if we are to continue our ascendancy among the very best of land-grant universities, we have to be highly innovative in how we generate and use our critical resources. Just a few days ago, we announced that the university is beginning to evaluate carefully the way that we advance our sustainability goals and looking at ways that we can do this and also provide increased support for our academic priorities. The preliminary plan was discussed at the Senate Fiscal Committee on Tuesday and will continue to be discussed throughout the university governance process. We also intend to work with members of the President and Provost Council on sustainability, as well as faculty experts to provide guidance throughout this process. There's still much to discuss, but this focus on sustainability has the potential to generate significant funding that could increase access to an affordable education for students and provide strong, meaningful support for faculty research. Because of innovative funding, we also have considerable resources to focus on critical global issues through our Discovery Themes initiative. Last month, we announced that Philip Payne, professor and chair of the Department of Biomedical Informatics, will lead the first Discovery Themes initiatives as director of the Data Analytics Collaborative. We've also identified and awarded funding to 7 core areas and approved 39 positions in 20 different departments. And I look forward to Provost Steinmetz to aggressively advance this critical initiative. The Provost and I actually recently met with the President and Provost Council on Women, and we shared our steadfast commitment to improving the search and selection process to promote diversity, broadly defined. This commitment will be evident throughout our Discovery Theme recruitment, and we look forward to great success. And one of the most visible symbols of innovation that sits just west of the Oval is our Health Sciences campus. In today's society, our academic medical center has never been so important to our mission. Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center is providing the very best patient care for our community. At the same time, the scientists at our medical center At the James, our 7 health sciences colleges continually look for new ways to treat disease, promote wellness, and improve lives. The opening of the new James Hospital and Solov Research Institute is just around the corner. This has been a 10-year effort to create an unparalleled cancer facility, the 3rd largest of its kind in the nation. This is a result of critical research and outstanding efforts on the part of people such as Dr. Michael Caligiuri and others at the James, who devote their lives to the science of this disease. Our new facility will bring cancer researchers and oncologists under one roof, working together to find better ways to fight and cure cancer. And I'm grateful to Dr. Caligiuri's leadership in this profound effort. This project will transform patient care. We also recently learned that our medical center was ranked number 3 out of 117 academic medical centers in the 2014 University Hospital Consortium study that measures quality, safety, effectiveness, and patient-centeredness. That's really incredible. If you're familiar with UHC, it's the 117 most prominent academic medical centers in the country. They're names that you know. This would be the Massachusetts General, it's Johns Hopkins, it's Barnes-Jewish, it's the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. It's the most prominent academic medical centers anywhere in the country. And this number 3 ranking underscores the quality of the care that we provide on a daily basis to the people of Central Ohio. In fact, at number 3, we're just behind the Mayo Clinic, which is ranked number 2. And I will say they can hear our footsteps and they're nervous for next year. We'll be moving past them in short order. Let me say also that it reflects the hard work of really thousands of people on a day-to-day basis, people who are working as we speak, people who are administering medications, people who are cleaning rooms, people who are performing surgery and caring for patients. And we're tremendously proud of their great work and all the work that's being done by our physicians, our nurses, our staff, and our leadership. I'd like to take a moment, to thank Dr. Gabby for his long service through the university and his passion for our community. Under his leadership, the medical center received recertification as a magnet hospital for nursing excellence and national recognition for improving diversity. And these are further reflections of the quality of our work. I should also mention topically that he and his team have been aggressively monitoring the Ebola situation and will continue to share important information with our university community. They've been working in close consultation with our healthcare partners around the state, and they continue to be at a high level of preparedness. In the past few months, actually, I've been involved in taking a part of a search for new leadership because Dr. Gabby is stepping down. Let me pause for a moment and thank Dr. Gabby for his service. Steve, I saw you. And I'll pause again to say that 3rd ranking in UHC is really an incredible thing. Hospitals around the country will spend their entire existence trying to get to that level, and we all appreciate that, and our patients appreciate that, most importantly. Let me say we're doing our best now the best of our ability to recruit an exceptional person for the medical center who will continue to elevate its stature and reputation for quality patient care and groundbreaking research in the future. And one of my favorite examples of how a modern land-grant university can create transformative research is Dr. Ali Rezai's work on the neurotechnology translator. This partnership between the Wexner Medical Center and Battelle enabled a 23-year-old quadriplegic to move his hands and fingers for the first time, thanks to a sensory chip implanted in his brain the size of a pea. This represents the coming together of science, electrophysiology, precise microsurgery, healthcare, business, and the broader community. And it also requires the talent and brain power of many different areas on our campus. Earlier this month, scientists in biochemistry and chemistry, including one of our doctoral students, succeeded in combining a battery and solar cell into one hybrid device that would create the world's first solar-powered battery, which could help reduce costs of renewable energy by 25%. And in response to the water crisis in Toledo last summer, our College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences launched Field to Faucet, a wide-ranging water quality initiative to ensure clean drinking water all across Ohio. This is a critical issue for our state and beyond, and we already have some great partnerships with our colleagues in higher education and the state. You can hear more about our exemplary research at Dr. Carol Whitaker's State of Research address here tomorrow, right in this room. In fact, if you keep your seats, you'll be the first. Never mind. I shouldn't say that. Let me also say, I'm going to go back for a second to Dr. Ali Rezai's work. I don't know, this is available on YouTube, actually hundreds of thousands of hits. It's an amazing thing to see someone from an implantable device be able to take his thoughts and through a cord that connects outside his body to sensors on his arm, not like you and I would do it through our spinal cords because his was damaged, but through a cord is able to move his hands. I've watched him pick up a spoon, and over these next few months, we hope he'll be able to do things like feed himself. He's incredibly encouraged, and this is the first step in this direction, but it's an absolutely amazing thing to do. It's the kind of thing that, again, when we were growing up was science fiction, something you might dream about or pray for. Now we could actually see it happening in our own labs. It's an amazing thing. So creating that new knowledge, like the Noah Bridge, is a critical piece of our land-grant mission. The other piece of our equation is just as powerful, and that is teaching our students and continuing to enhance their academic experience. We again have the most impressive class in our history, selected from the most applications in our history, nearly 43,000. They have the highest ATC scores on average, the highest record of high school achievement. They are diverse in composition, hailing from all 88 counties in Ohio and 49 of 50 states from 33 countries around the world. 1 in 5 comes from Central Ohio. 1 in 5 is a first-generation college student. 18% are minority students. As the quality of our students continues to rise, so does our responsibility as a land-grant university. We need to give our students real-world experience and prepare them for the global economy. One way that we are doing that is through our export internship program at the Fisher College of Business. This program pairs undergraduate students with internships at Ohio companies to increase exports. Just because our students are helping with exports doesn't mean we want to export our students, of course. We want our students to stay here in Ohio and become part of the fabric of our growing economy. And by the way, I'd like to congratulate Professor Anil Makija, who this week was named the new dean of the Fisher College. I believe that Anil is here today with a student from the export internship program. And I think actually Anil is standing, so that must mean we should give him a round of applause. And Neil, thank you for what you have done for us and for what you will do for us. Look forward to working with you. I'd also like to thank Christine Poon for leading Fisher for the last 5 years. Our students, and let me say a round of applause for Dean Poon as well. If our students are an impressive group collectively, as individuals, they have amazing stories to tell as well. And I'll mention just a few. Greg Freisinger, a doctoral student in mechanical engineering, won a Bronze Star in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Our first ever Tillman Military Scholar. He's researching how to better design artificial knee replacements so he can work with military amputees to improve their lives. Senior undergrad psychology major, Rebecca Plumage, interned with the South Dakota Department of Social Services working with Native American foster kids. She was named our first ever Udall Scholar in Native American Health, in the Native American Health category. Students are at the heart of our historic land-grant mission, and in order to prepare them for the 21st century, we need to renew our focus on one of our greatest assets, which is our teaching. Whether our students are attending our campus in Mansfield, Marion, or Columbus, we want to make sure that they are inspired by the very best teachers. We have wonderfully inventive and committed teachers across the university. Teachers who motivate students, who flip the classroom to increase engagement, and who mentor students in the research laboratory. And all of us know that our students remember these experiences for their lives. Our students clearly benefit from the fact that our students are scholars, or scientists, and researchers, and artists, many of whom are well known in their fields nationally and internationally. But I know that we also could spend more time focusing on our teaching. My younger son is a PhD student himself, and is now in the advanced years of his graduate program. Hope not too many more years to advance forward, but he's entering his 4th year. Things are working nicely, and he received the honor of being asked to instruct new graduate students on teaching methodology because he'd been given an award for this. That was great. I happened to be talking to him a few weeks ago, and I said, well, you're starting to do your research, and you're starting on actually telling other people how to teach. That's a great thing. How much training have you had in preparing you for your research project? He said, well, I've had about 8 courses in statistics and research methodology, and then maybe 100 hours of eyeball-to-eyeball consultation with my mentors on this, and then we're just starting the research, and so I'm expecting that I'll have many, many hours of direct one-on-one guidance on the research part of my portfolio as well. I said, great, and how much training did you have in formal teaching? And he said, well, the seminar that I'm about to give next week, I went to that when I was a first-year graduate student, and that was an hour and a half, and it was very helpful. And I just sort of remarked on the difference between 8 courses and 100 hours of preparation to start his research and an hour and a half to help start with his teaching. And as we think about this, I think there's some ways that we can think about many things that we can do to help make sure that we're doing everything we can to look at that balance and to continue to push forward the quality of our teaching that we're doing. I think that Ohio State can become an exemplar in this area as well as being an exemplar in research as we already are. And I'm committed to emphasizing our focus on teaching in order to elevate the quality of student experiences on all of our campuses. I think that it's through the quality of our teaching that our students become A-plus thinkers and really contribute to a global society. And finally, let me say that as a modern land-grant university, we must strive to provide affordable quality affordable quality education to all. Access and affordability are key. Our regional campuses are often the doorways to access for many students. I've had the privilege to visit our campuses in Worcester, Newark, and Lima recently, and I plan to visit Marion and Mansfield in the near future. Our commitment to access aligns with our participation in a new higher education effort to boost completion rates. 11 major public research universities make up the University Innovation Alliance, which is working collectively to develop an innovative playbook to retain and graduate more students, particularly low-income and first-generation students. The Alliance will first examine predictive analytics to determine how we can make students more successful. And while we want to do this for all of our students, our Center for Higher Education Enterprise, in conjunction with our Office of Institutional Research and Planning, will use data analytics to focus on the success rate of students in all of our campuses, and particularly our regional campuses, and those students who change to the Columbus campus. With this information, we hope to identify and develop programs and support students to help all of our students increase their completion rates and enhance their academic experience. And we'd like to help the ease of transition from high school to college and from college to the real world. At the same time, we want to work to help keep the cost of higher education affordable. This eases the burden for students and families and is really critical for people to be able to enter the world and really make use of all the things that we have taught them. Well, for the first 4 months, I have spent much of my time listening and learning to all of you and to many others. And in this way, you're the teachers and I am the student. I'm grateful for your insights and for your dedication to this extraordinary university. Our vision to continue our ascendancy among leading land-grant universities will require our very best selves. And we need to work together in the coming weeks and months to refine our mission of what it means to be the exemplar of a land-grant university in the 21st century. And that's why we're all here. It's what a remarkable personal and professional opportunity this is for all of us. My belief in our ability to move forward together is the reason that Brenda and I came to Ohio State, and I'm excited at the opportunities that lie before us. From the days of Thomas Edison and the Wright brothers, Ohio has been the heart of innovation. From Jesse Owens to John Glenn, Buckeyes have been the fastest on the surface of the earth and the first to orbit it in space. Inspiration and brain power have taken us from candles to light bulbs and from railways to the skies. And now, at Ohio State, we're moving from the status quo to sustainable, from cancer to a cure, and from outstanding to exemplary. That is the tradition of Ohio, and it is the tradition of the Ohio State University. And that is how we, together, will continue to change the world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Drake. I just want to remind everyone the Senate is still in session. That's why I'm up here as the senator, that I'm going to be calling upon you for questions. But before I do that, I just want to speak on behalf of all the senators here, as well as the university community in general, that we hope that this is the first of a very long string of annual addresses that you'll be giving to the Ohio State University, and you're more than welcome to come back and address the Senate in this manner in the years to come. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We have questions from senators. It's hard to see, but we have microphones that the staff of the outstanding staff of the Ohio Union are walking around with. So what I would suggest is you raise your hand, and we'll get that microphone to you rather than have you climb over people to try to get to the stands. You have the wireless? Yeah, okay, so just raise your hand. I can see there's a lot of enthusiasm, so I'm just going to launch the first question while people are trying to articulate their ideas. And that is, we've gotten a lot of press lately, and just this week we saw, and you mentioned sustainability, the idea of a comprehensive energy plan. And it was this Senate that actually debated the privatization of parking, so this energy plan appears to be tracking in the same direction. How is it different, and how is it the same as what we dealt with previously in terms of privatization?
Well, thanks very much for the question, Ken, and I look forward to many years of being able to address my colleagues here as well. I'd say that you all are much more closely associated with things that have happened in the past. The parking issue, I certainly saw it from afar. In fact, Neil and I would have talked about this a year and a half ago, and ways that we could free up funds to be able to do things like discovery themes, which are really an amazing opportunity. And I'd say that generally what we want to do is to try to think of our mission and how we might achieve that mission. And among the things that are most important for us to do are to have policies that are sustainable, that we can use to help show the world how things ought to be done. It's something I've been committed to for many, many years. And as we do things in a sustainable way, we find that we can save money so we can be more effective in a sustainable fashion, and we can be more efficient in a sustainable fashion. As we're looking to do things, and I would go to the prior issues with the parking, we find that there's some things that we do that others do, that we do part-time or in a smallish way, that others do full-time and in a large way. And the concept there is that we can sometimes partner with people who have this as their business to do things in a way that allows us to be more efficient and more effective, and also generate new resources. Those new resources that we generate, we can then invest in the things that we do better than they, such as education and research. And I think the discussion that we're having ties all those together.
Hans, I failed to do something that I'm going to ask everyone to do, particularly the senators. When you stand, please state your name and your constituency, which is a fancy way of saying what part of the university community actually voted for you. So, do we have questions?
I was going to restart the speech if there were, okay, no.
Hi. Thank you for your discussion, Dr. Drake. It was very enlightening. I'm Leah LaCure, and I am undergraduate student government's vice president. Yeah. So I was just curious to hear a little bit more about the discovery themes and where we'll see them throughout the different layers of the university, and specifically how they'll impact us as students.
Yeah. So great, Leah, and thank you very much for your service to your students. We had several very good days together, particularly the hard work that you put in on move-in day. That was great. So discovery themes align around areas of things that are the most important to our society. So the quality of and safety of our food source, and how those things are important to us, our health care and how we take care of ourselves, and the way that we're able to interact in the world in a sustainable manner to protect the energy sources that we have and use them effectively. And these are broad, the concept of discovery themes is these are broad themes that cut across the various colleges and disciplines that we have to bring people together to work on problems. So one way that I would say that as we look at this toward the future that will be a very important thing is looking at, we have our health sciences area. And in my experience, and as we think about it, generally the things that we call health sciences, if we formed a circle around it, this would be a fence that you would cross to enter people who have disease. So if it's on the health sciences campus, it has a lot to do with disease, not so much to do with health, which would be the prevention of disease or the keeping people healthy. And so there are things that surround the health sciences on the outside, like food and natural resources, and like the ecology and other kinds of things that are in our society that we'd like to be able to marry with those things that we do in the health sciences to try to protect the health side of that as well as the disease side. One of the things that's very important with us, and one of the initial focus for our discovery themes, is the broad area of data analytics, a new area for the world. The ability to use incredibly fast and sophisticated computers to amass and work with very, very large amounts of data. And this is going to be an area of great professional job growth for the future, because the technical aspects of this, or processing the information, or how to use it, are things that we really haven't mastered as a society yet, because our capacity to do these things is new. And so we have a new initiative to bring on 30 to 40 new faculty members in the broad area of data analytics to be able to collect this information, have it there, and then use it to support the discovery themes in the variety of areas that we've mentioned and others.
There's another mic. Get it down here so we don't have a pause.
I don't need the mic. My name is Elizabeth Boyer. I teach at the Marion campus.
Yes.
And we were recently certified as a zero waste campus, we believe the first regional campus in Ohio.
Congratulations.
Is there any talk or possibility of scaling up that initiative to the main campus?
So we, in fact, are working hard to be, I know we'll be in the SHU on Saturday. And we work hard to make that a zero-waste facility. We'd love to be a zero-waste facility broadly. I've had some experience in the past with campus-wide initiatives at other places that I was that look to be sustainable and look to be green. And there are a variety of things that one can do. The zero-waste initiative is one, and it's a very important initiative, and there are ways to actually enhance that. The things that we did, I would say in the past, were things like, interestingly, looking at food trays in the cafeteria and realizing that food trays led to about a 25% wastage of food because they'd be piled up with things that one didn't need. So you could still have the all-you-can-eat policy, but just have it a plate at a time. And then we found that the people who used the cafeteria weren't throwing away as much food. It wasn't as wasteful on that score, and it didn't contribute so much to greenhouse gases. I'd say that programs that we were working with for many years led to that campus being rated #1 nationally in sustainability. And I think that those are things that all of us can emulate. One great thing about The Ohio State University is that things that we do are noticed by people everywhere. And so to the extent that we do a great job of something, it shows people that it's doable, that it's possible, and it's a new standard. So we'd love to continue to set the standard for sustainability.
Where did mic 2 go? Right there, please.
How are you?
Hi. Okay, my name's Caritha Mitchell, Associate Professor of English, so I think I represent arts and sciences as a senator. Thank you so much for all of your remarks. I really appreciated all of it. And I guess one of the things that I'm wondering about is I feel like there's been a lot of excitement and energy whenever I hear people talking about the discovery themes, but it also seems like you've been really focused on having us think more critically about how we're training in terms of teaching. So I wanted to hear you say a little bit more about how discovery themes that you've been describing interface with this commitment to teaching, because I wasn't really getting the connection there.
Sure.
And then also, I see this as separate, so I hate that I have to make it as one question. But
Seems like you're never mind.
I also feel like I'd like to hear more from you around the issue of e-learning, which we've also seen people kind of be excited about. So I see those as separate, though, honestly.
Great. So everyone heard the question with the microphone. Let me say I don't see these as either or. Discovery themes are areas of collaboration across colleges and across colleagues from different disciplines, looking at the largest problems of society and doing what we can to help generate knowledge and information that will allow us to make an impact there. I think that's just moving forward with our mission as a Research One university and kind of re-envisioning the way that we look at things. So I think that's something that we will do that moves along in parallel or across that. I think there are many things that we can do. I think everyone here is a committed teacher, and that shows with your commitment to the university, and things we can do to try to help be our best selves in the classroom as well, we can do in parallel with those things. I don't think that I don't mean them to be in competition at all, but things that we do in parallel. And when we speak of e-learning, if we think about the teaching component, I was just this last week at AAU, last weekend, and AAU, we talked a lot about teaching and learning. AAU is a collection of university presidents and chancellors that meet twice a year. And we talked a lot about teaching and learning, and we were talking about those things that allow us to do our best teaching, the things that produce the best teaching outcomes. And there are several things that have been studied and through multiple research collaboratives shown to do the most to improve the quality of teaching outcomes, having students actually be engaged and learn the topic that we're interested in having them learn. And one of those things, one of those several things, is what's called modern teaching. And modern teaching included e-learning, flipped classrooms, a whole variety of things to connect our students to the material in ways that enhance their ability to retain more and to reach their objectives more effectively. So e-learning is a part of what we would do, and it works in a couple of ways. One is the technology-enhanced learning that would happen in a classroom between a professor and her students here. E-learning also creates opportunities for people who are distant from us to be able to connect with us in a variety of ways, and I think we're all interested in continuing to move forward with that. My own undergraduate class that I've been teaching had a much larger e-learning component the last 2 years, and I actually participated in a MOOC last year. So those things were quite interesting, and we're all learning about it as we move forward, but I think it's an ongoing and exciting conversation for us.
Hi, Deb Stewart from the College of Nursing, and so I really appreciate your enthusiasm for the educational mission of our university. And when you think about excellence in teaching, what types of programs or strategies do you see us putting in place to really help our new assistant professors to develop excellence in teaching as they are also developing their research trajectory and those types of issues that,
yes.
You know, for an assistant professor, as you pointed out with your son learning to teach?
Yes. So let me tell you what I think, and then say this is the beginning of a conversation. I'd love to continue to discuss this and see. So my son did very well in teaching. I like to say good things about my voice. In fact, if you have a minute, I can show some photos if you'd like to see. I'd love to do that. But he had an advantage. You know, his father is a professor, so he grew up in a house where we were doing this all the time. And so we kind of had a way of communicating with the boys that kind of helped them do that. And they were excited by this, and he wants to be a teacher and learn, and that's a great thing. I have another son a couple years older, who's married. His wife is a new assistant professor this year at the University of Maryland. And I was talking to her about this. I learned at home. I was talking to her about this and saying, so tell me, getting started, what about your teaching? What about your research? She's coming off 3 years of postdoc, you know, so she's a really focused person. She said, gosh, I'm kind of using every minute trying to get ready to submit these grants and worried about that. But you know, I talked actually with her about the kinds of things that she'd like to have to help her to feel that she was doing the best job she possibly could in teaching. And I think that conversations broadly among all of us, you and I and our colleagues, and about those kind of things that would be most helpful to people who are starting. I'm also interested in conversations among those of us who've been doing this for 10 or 20 years about new ways going forward. Let me tell a story. The story is something I heard actually also at AAU. How many are familiar with AAU here? So good. So just to say a word about AAU and how it works and how we all work together. It's 62 universities that are research-focused universities. It has no necessary, one doesn't know what the entrance requirements are. One is invited, but it's based on the productivity of the faculty and the students and quality and excellence. And as I mentioned, UHC has the hospitals like Mass General and Barnes-Jewish, et cetera, et cetera. AAU is the corresponding universities, so that would be the Harvard or the Ohio State, Washington University, et cetera. So it really is a collection of people who are the presidents and chancellors of large universities that are focused on research. And we meet twice a year, 3 days generally each meeting, and after the years, since it's the same people for at least a period of time, you get to know people relatively well. And so it actually turns out to be a collegial group of colleagues talking together. And we pick topics for each meeting. And one of the topics that we've had topics like cybersecurity or topics on research policy in the NIH. But one of the topics we had a couple of years ago was on e-learning and where this was going. And there was a story that I was told that I found compelling and meaningful and helped my thinking. So let me share that. The story was that somebody from Carnegie Mellon, and Carnegie Mellon has done a lot of this. This was a professor from Carnegie Mellon talking about their statistics course that they taught in an online fashion that was very successful. And the story she told was of the people in the online, in the unit on campus that helped faculty move their courses online. That a physics professor came in, a venerated National Academy of Sciences physics professor, came in and said that he wanted to get an online course, wanted to make his, use electronic means to capture his course, and they said, great. And then worked really hard to make his course an online course, and he came back a month or so later and looked at what they'd done and apparently hit the ceiling, or actually went through the ceiling to the next floor perhaps, in outrage, saying, you know, I've been teaching this course for 20 years, you've changed it entirely. This isn't what I asked you to do. I wanted you essentially to digitize my materials so we could demonstrate, give them out electronically, but you've changed everything around, and you know, I hardly recognize it. And so then he calmed down a bit and cooled off and returned to earth and said, but after calming down, said, well, let's do this. Why don't I teach the course as I've taught it for all these years, and then we have somebody teach the course along with me using this thing that you've created. And so that was done. And then, as I heard the story, 6 weeks or so later, he came back. And he came back in 6 weeks or so because this was about midterm time. And he came back 6 weeks later and he said, well, I just want to tell you, I know I lost my temper last time, but I owe 2 apologies. So I owe one apology to you for going off so much when you've really done outstanding quality work. And the other apology I owe is to the students who I've abused for the past 20 years by not teaching them as much as I could have. And how he learned this, he said, was at midterm time, students came in to ask him questions. And he said the students who came in from his traditional lecture course, which was so popular, asked him questions like they've been asking him for all those years about technical questions on how to do the equations and things like that and to get to the answers they wanted. He said the students who were in the online course came in asking him questions about applications. Given the ability to do this, how might we apply this to this problem? He said much more like the questions he would get from graduate students. And that their ability to kind of learn the basic information and move forward in just 6 weeks had shown him that they were on a different trajectory. And so he moved it forward. So that's a story I heard. She could have made it up, but I thought it was a good story. It illustrated that, and I believe that there are ways that we can enhance what we're doing by using modern techniques, not throwing out what we've done so well or changing things entirely, but depending on the classes and the circumstances, looking at ways that we might enhance what we're doing. So in addition to trying to teach best practices to our new assistant professors when they come in, all for it, I'd love to be engaged with you and others on ways we can all do better in teaching our students as we move forward. I think it'll be fun and should be efficient as well. And I think we have time probably for about one more. So.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your remarks. So clearly one of the central themes moving forward will be innovation. And as students and faculty continue to create the kinds of earth-shaking changes that you've referenced, we're going to be generating intellectual property on an unprecedented scale. Yes. My question for you is twofold. How do you think that intellectual property rights factor into this wider drive for university innovation? And do you think that the systems we have in place, both for faculty and for students, merit another look as we move forward?
Well, let me answer the second part first and say, of course, they merit continually re-examining to try to be more effective and efficient in the way that we generate and develop intellectual property, and the way we get that intellectual property to people who can actually transfer it to things that are useful to the people that we wish to serve. I mentioned that our land-grant mission from the very beginning was to educate the sons and daughters of people who lived in our region, but to create knowledge to help elevate the quality of life. And if I describe our mission and what I think we're here for as a university, it's to do what we can to make it, to facilitate those people in our midst optimizing their human potential, to having us all live the best lives and be the best people we can. And we do that by great ideas and by training great people, great character and leadership, but that doesn't work if it all stays here on campus. It has to go out there and get to where people are. So we want to do things that make a difference to people, make a difference to you and me, and are practical on a daily basis. And so our intellectual property has to, in some way, our technology has to be transferred to people who can make it into products that people can use and things that people can interface with if it's to be as valuable as possible. And I think that all of us in the university committee broadly want to be better at doing that. We know of outstanding examples of places where this has worked really, really well. We also know, and I will say that if I were with my colleagues at AAU, that if there were 62 of us there, that 61 of us would point to one or another and say, well, they have it great, but gee, we're struggling with this. We'd like to do better. My view would be that to the extent that we in our dialogues, and this is a we, you know, we're it. So we in our conversations with each other and in our behaviors, as we can stimulate students and faculty, undergraduate students, postdocs, the entire creative community that we have, to think of ideas in ways that might be useful, and then to work with partners to help get that information out to the world. I think that's something first that we can encourage and celebrate. I think it's a great thing. We can celebrate and encourage patents. We can celebrate and encourage companies being started. We can celebrate and encourage partnerships. Those things are, I think, a very good thing for us to do. And then we can try and continually try to improve our ability to have a tech transfer enterprise that facilitates the details of transmitting that information to places where it can be useful, so it's a smooth and effective process. I want us to be smart about it and do it in ways that help generate the kind of resources that help support faculty and the broader enterprise. I believe in that very much. But I also don't want us to be so concerned with being hyper careful that nothing ever gets out to the world. So I think it's an area that we want to continue to be leaders in and continue to move forward, and we'll appreciate your ideas as we go forward.
I want to thank President Drake for being a highlight of the year for the Senate. Please, one more round of applause.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I am now the only thing that stands in the